So what I have done here is I have created a bar that will be my value 5, and here will be my value 3. Just let me draw that in, this number 3. Down here we will do a 1, and on the very bottom will be our 0. But right now we have made the bar with the red number 5 pigment only. Okay, I keep my brush. I do not wash the brush. But what I do now is I take this brush, I dip the length of the hair, half of the length of the hair, into my water. And then I take it out and I stroke off any excess water on the side of my dish, and I will remove a tiny little bit on my toilet paper roll. And now I am going to put in my value 7. That means sun is coming out, the object is hit by some light, and so I do not have the overcast day anymore. The sunny side will be more like that value. It's the same color, it's the same red, but now the sun is out, or it's the lighter side. So here we go. Do you see what I've put on? Here, same pigment, same brush, no new mixture. This is the bar. I give it time to dry, and up here I have the same mixture in lighter. So I basically have a new mixture, more water, less pigment. Now we do the same again. Oh, the sun is getting so nice and warm. I have more sun shining on my object. So what I do again is I take my brush and I dip it into my water dish about to half, and I take it out again. I stroke off the excess water, and if need be I dip a little bit of the excess on my toilet paper roll, and then I put on my value 9. And as we see, this is almost like a 10. It's a very, very light mix, very light. Here we go. That's my number 9. Here, that's my number 9. And it's still wet, so it looks a little bit darker, but it'll dry nice and light. Maybe I can just take the puddle off here. So, there we go. Yeah. And now, number 10 is, well, we don't have to do anything. That is just the, here we go. That's my number 10 up here. And now, while we worked our way up, lighter and lighter and lighter, which is easy, no extra mixing necessary, just adding more water, the lower bar had time to dry. And what we do, also what we will do later on when we paint objects or lower value of a specific color, we do the same idea. This is the base color, and then we add to it. And how we do this, same brush, I pick up red, here we go, red, and then I need to bring in the other two of the colors, the other colors that we haven't used. So I take a little bit of yellow, and I take a little bit of blue, such, just a tiny bit, and a bit more red. And what I see now is the mixture will get thicker. It's not as watery, it is a little bit thicker. It's not very thick, but it's just a little bit thicker. So, here we go. And this is my mix. And now what I do with this mix, I will color in my value 3, 1, and 0. Not 5, because 5 we already put down. But we add on our layer an extra layer. So, and that's what I do right now. So, and as you can see with my very first stroke, what I put down blocks out more of this white paper reflecting through. So the color looks darker. I'll just put this in. So, and I love my happy little peak holes here. Okay, now that's number 3. And while this is drying, we use the puddle we have here. We do not wash the brush. If we wash the brush, all the pigment that we paid for the good quality artist grade materials would go in my water dish. But I don't want it in the water dish. I want my pigment on the paper. So do not always wash your brush and dilute your mixture, because you need to work with this mixture and make it even darker. So we need to put more pigment in and not dilute it with more water. If I run out of mixture, well, then I have to add more water. This is fine. But here, no. This, I have a little bit left. So what I do, I add more of the other 2 colors. So I use more yellow and more red and more of that blue. Oh, by the way, some of you might think, what is this here, this dark puddle? This is from a previous session, and I just want to reuse the pigment. So by the end of my session, sometimes I just go in a well and let the leftover pigment, put it all together in a well and let it dry. And then if I need a mixing color, I have one right here and I just recycle that. That's the only reason. But today we don't need this. We do it from scratch. So here we go. Now this is my darker red. And what you see now, I don't know if you can see it, is it's getting thicker. Just let me bring this light over here. Here. And when I wiggle my brush, we will see little bubbles come up. This is a good sign. It means the mix is saturated with pigment. Okay, there's a lot of pigment in the mix now. So what I do now, this will be my number 1, my value 1. And because it is thicker, it will naturally not run as much into the other color. So even though my value 3 that I layered over it is still a little bit wet, it will not be a big deal because this is a thick mixture. And I add it, put it on, and as you can see here, see it looks dark already. So I take this mix and I put it on as such. There we go. And that is now my value 1. So. And what you see is the darker the values are, it's a layering system that we have. The darker we get, the more layers we put on. I do not start with a color on white paper and say, well, it has to be a very dark red or blue or whatever. No. It's a layering process. And now I will just go on and add more yellow and more red and more blue. And blue obviously makes it very dark very quickly. And yellow has a little bit of thickener, I think, in it, so it's a good one to thicken things up and give it more body. So here we go. This is now a very dark red mix. Of course, there are many bubbles coming up when I stir it up. And I fill in. And as you also see, your puddle, you use up the pigment, right? So naturally, the darker, if you keep using what you already mixed, the darker you go, the smaller the puddle will be. And that is exactly in real life when you paint. Most often you need just a few low light accents here and there, and you do not really need a lot of pigment for that. And then you can just put it on like such. And that is your number 1. There we go. Oh, that's your 0, I mean, sorry. Yeah. And what you have created now is your first value scale. Congratulations! And what I will do now, I recommend for you to do, take the 3 primary colors. You have done the red with me. Try the same with the yellow and with the blue. And I will do this a little bit faster now, but you know the system. You can pause your video, this video, at any time and stop and do it. So here we go. This is my lemony yellow. It's the Hansa yellow. Let's stir it up. Use a new well. I'm not fiddling with this up here. See, starting afresh. And this will be my value 5. Yeah. And I will draw in the bar. So this is my number 5. Also number 3, number 1, 0. And then I fill it in. Now, I dip my brush halfway in, let the brush soak up the water, and I stroke off the excess. And then, because my belly is now full, I just dip up a little bit, dip off. Here we go. And then, that is my number 7. And I fill in my square. If it's really wet, your wash down there, I recommend do not touch it right now with your lighter, because it is very watery and it will run into each other. What you can do is you take the belly of your brush and you dip it onto the toilet paper roll, and then you ever so lightly stroke it. But you rather want to have a white spot, like a white line between, than have it all run together and create a big mess. Now my brush goes back into the water, dip halfway in, here, stroke off, dip a little bit off. That's my number 9. You see it's almost just a tiny bit of pigment left in the brush. And that is exactly how it should be. Here we go. Now, what we will create now is our value 3, 1 and 0. Again, you see here I got this from before, where I went in with the red brush and it contaminated the well with it's not the well, but the well with the paint in it. So I just recycle and clean up. So I picked this up, perfect, because I needed anyways some red. Okay, now I got a nice cleaned yellow again, and then I use a little bit of that red, just a tiny bit, and a tiny bit of this blue. And what it creates, you will see, it looks kind of now more like an orangey, brownish ochre color. And what I do, I paint over the others like such. Now I think in real life I probably would just add a bit more blue to not make it such a warm color. But here we go. Now, next step. Yep, you're right. We create our number 1. And how do we do this? We use more of our pigment. And you see there are my bubbles. I love the bubbles. That's a good sign. More red and more of the blue. and it will look more brownish. We move away from the yellow and it kind of looks more brownish, and in the beginning people are always scared, oh, it looks so dirty or whatever, but well, let your eyes tell the truth. What you see is what you put on. So, and that's what we have. And now let's do my 0, which would be the accent in this case, because it is such a light mix. See, I recycle now. I'm bold. Brr. Use this, and it cleans my palette. And then I use that blue. And this would be a case where I would recycle my dark puddle here. And this is very a dark mix, so I will just put that on. Yeah. Congratulations, you have made your second value scale in yellow. And now let's move on. Let's do blue, and then let's move on to secondary colors, which is a mix of 2 of the pigments. So when you're done blue, let me just go on pause here and do a quick little blue. Where can I pause?